So there is a battle happening between in the Christian community. It's always been there, but of course Israel is bringing it to the forward. Replacement theology, you can read this comment here, and basically it's an answer to my saying Dr. Brown is simply letting the Bible speak, and I praised him for that, and that's all I did. And this person's response is, that's not good enough. Being a positive person in the comment section is not good, because then you get people who say things like that. We're Abraham's spiritual seed, and the Jewish people are the physical seed, and their time has passed, and it's our time now. What does it benefit us to look down upon another group that we know is in our fold? Right? We know that they're akin to us. It's a strike against us to have a spirit of Cain and not the spirit of Abel. You know what I mean? Why do we have to pick up a stone and strike down our brother? So we're going to strike them down. Does that make us look better in God's eyes? Does God look at us and go, you know what? You're the one. I don't know what I was thinking, the Jewish people. It doesn't change anything for us to take away from them in order to have. Does it make us have more? I guess I'm trying to rationalize the not just a heart posture problem of being a Cain spirit, but also, does God lack that much love? Like, does he have a limited supply of love, like the kissing hand, that little kid's book? I don't really think us taking from the Jewish group benefits us. I don't know why it's even necessary. I don't know why it crosses people's mind, especially when you read Romans 9, 10, and 11. You can see Apostle Paul's heart, and you can see why God chose him, because he's in this place of in-between where he's a Pharisee. He's also, chosen to go out and reach out to the Gentiles. And you could tell there's an awkward moment there for him. But of course, Peter speaks for Paul, saying, hey, he's actually the real deal. I know some of the things that Paul says is hard to understand because the dude's a Pharisee, right? And so remember, Peter and his like are like, fishermen, and not all of them are educated. So somebody like Apostle Paul spoke like well over their head, like well, all the time, most of the time. I mean, even some of the stuff that he writes about, as Dr. Brown goes through in this video I'll put below, you can tell Dr. Brown has to give you some background and some, context in order for you to understand. Paul, in some of the places, is speaking as a Jew about Jews. That's what this person in the comment is talking about. He's talking about Durbin making reference to who is actually the real follower of God. Dr. Brown actually clarified and said, Paul's speaking as a Jewish person. He's speaking as a Jew. About Jews, to Jews. So that kind of changes the context a little bit. He's not really talking about between Gentiles and all that. What I'm talking about is not the specifics of how that works or the theology or anything like that. As usual, I'm talking about overarching idea behind the spirit behind. When you look at something from above, from a high up, it's a different battle than when you're on the ground. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to show it from a different perspective, a different angle. Now, these are 3 reasons why I believe Jewish people are still the chosen people. In the book of Revelations, the 144,000 are listed pure-blooded Jewish people who are from original tribes. Okay, these tribes are Jewish and they're Jews, and they're in the end times, and you can trace them, which, by the way, is a thing for the Jewish community. They only marry their own. They only have their own pure bloodline. It tells that till this day their bloodline is pure. So of course in the last days there'd still be Jewish people who have pure bloodline. Of course they would. So of course 144,000 makes sense. It does. These are people in the end times of the original tribes who get the seal of God, and only then does the real chaos occur, and not until every single one is sealed in the name of Jesus Christ of these Jewish folks, these Jews, of the 144,000 will the chaos occur and the wrath be poured out upon the world in the last days. I spoke about how the theologians back in 2018, 2019 were like, we're really scratching our head. I don't know why is the book of Revelations is listing Jewish people. That's kind of weird, because they're coming to Christ now. They're coming to Christ right now. Anyhow, I'm not going to rant about that. Here are the 3 reasons. First reason is they keep their tradition, and through keeping those traditions, they're teaching us we have lost the tradition. There needs to be a tribe that shows us where the original stuff came from. They hold all the keys of Christ right in the palm of their hand. They're born into the truth and into traditions of Jesus Christ, like the afikomen. It's a Hebrew thing where they have this bread, and it has a bunch of holes in it. It's very thin and it's without leaven, and they hide it in the house, and the kids go look for it and they break it. And this is around the time of Passover, and even the Passover meal. It just, there are traditions they do. God gave them the truth in the palm of their hand. It's Christ all over the place. And it's incredible. And that's really what convinced me of how amazing the tribe is as a whole. Because when I'm watching them do their traditions and explain it, I'm going, wow, they're beautiful. But my goodness, that's some New Testament stuff happening there. They have their traditions and they've kept it, and they kept it solid. It's pure. It's not tainted. And so that's number one, is they're teaching us that something's wrong with our traditions as Christians, that we've missed the mark somehow. Somewhere in history, we've been told to do some pagan stuff. It's whatever. The second thing, the endurance and the fortitude. Recently, I'm highly impressed by the Jewish community and the way they've taken on the oppression and the hatred that is worldwide. I mean, they've really stood up to it, looked it right in its face, and danced. They're really inspirational people, and I know they know to embrace this because it's kind of the whole thing. Like, unlike the people of today who are like, oh my gosh, I'm so oppressed. Oh my gosh, look at me, I'm so sad. They're the only group of people who look it right in the face and laugh at that, and it makes them stronger and braver. And I think Christians can really get something from this. I think Christians really could get a lot from that. The third thing, the prophecy. Their life and the way they live it and where they're living, Israel itself, in the sea of chaos and the sea of countries that despise them. I mean, they're so small and all the other countries are so big, they should be squashed. They should be. But clearly, God is on their side. And it's God's way through them, their life, and the oppression and the hatred that surrounds them, showing us something about ourselves. It's like a mirror image. Like, you could be this small, you could be David, but you could just have a stone. But with God behind you, you can be a great nation, which is what they are. And it's like their only place to go, especially now that the whole world's like, we don't like you anywhere, but you definitely can't have that one place. Not that one place. That's not yours, even though everybody else can go everywhere else in the world. And this is a world who just put on display for at least 10 to 15 years how sensitive it is about every other group on the face of the earth and how we're all crybabies and snowflakes. But yet, they literally victimize. The whole world is victimizing and stomping in the Jewish people and like smirking. I don't know how you can't see the truth in the prophecy of just them being lights of the world. You can see not just spiritual warfare in the heavens, not just the truth of everyday life, but also the spiritual aspect that's occurring to us as Christians. There's a divide. Israel is literally acting like a sifting mechanism where just them existing is sifting everybody around them. It's making the countries around them angry. It's making the reporters and the media, it makes them show their teeth and show how horrible beings they are. But it also is sifting us as Christians. How does that not make them God's people? I mean, just them existing is stirring up things. Just them breathing is shaking up the world because they simply exist. You can't tell me that's not God's people. You can't tell me that. And it's like, well, they don't know Jesus, so they're not. Okay, well, you could die tomorrow, and the people that you claim don't know Jesus could by the time they're 80. Who cares? You wouldn't know that. In the book of Revelations, it speaks of the second death. How do we know that an edit doesn't occur after you die and we go through a judgment and we think life is just going on like normal and God's not judging us through that little tiny lifespan that he gives us? Maybe he can manipulate that lifespan to try to convince us to come to his truth. And then if we choose throughout that second chance that it's just our life extended, then maybe we do get the second death. Maybe we do actually die again and then our soul is extinguished. We don't really know how God does things. That's my point. I don't know the mystery of God. God's thoughts are higher than my thoughts and his ways are higher than my ways. So for me to say these comments in such an absolute way, well, they don't know Jesus, so they're kind of SOL. It's not just not fair, but it's false. It's false and not true. God wouldn't lie. That would make God a liar. For us to say, because we don't see their salvation and we don't see the way that God is making for them. I mean, they're really winning huge battles. I mean, you don't see God operating with the Jewish people. You don't see it because I do. I'm just saying we have a real divide within Christianity. It's not so much I believe there's a 50-50 problem. I don't. I think they're just people coming out of the woodwork with sad, dark hearts who clearly have a thorn here and there, who need to sort it out and really need to ask themselves the question, what does it do for me? What is the end game for them to say such things against the Jewish people? How does it serve them? Wouldn't you want God to come back seeing you serve them instead of being one of the groups stomping them into the ground. But even if it's in a small way or in a big way, I mean, is that what God wants? He wants to come back and watch you. Is this a Jesus type move to turn to a group of people and say, yeah, you were once God's people, but you're not anymore? So I'm going to end this video on an upbeat note. And this is for the people who watch my channel for Shapiro, clearly for Ben Shapiro, because I have 2 of his videos, only 2 on my whole channel that I have him kind of appearing on here. People came for Ben because there's like, and all my other videos have like 2 or 3 views. So this part's for you because clearly you like Ben. I was hoping that maybe people would like what I have to say. I know I'm a little, my thoughts just kind of come here and there and can't really always track what I'm saying. It might sound like word salad because I get a little too passionate and too crazy about and sometimes what I'm trying to get across doesn't get there. And a lot of times it's because at the end of a long day, sometimes I'm having a 10-hour day. Today I had a 10-hour work day. I don't have a precise way to organize and convey my thoughts, so they sound a mess. This is for whoever's watching for Shapiro. That's for you. Remember, Christ is King forever. May God be with you. Not